Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. As we move into the second half of winter, things are really starting to heat up in terms of weather activity. We're about to head into February. And if you're anywhere in the US, you probably know this can be one of the coldest and snowiest months of the season. We're looking at multiple winter storms on the horizon, and the weather pattern is expected to stay active for the next couple of weeks. So in this video, I'm going to give you a breakdown of what to expect over the coming weeks, talk about the storms forming, and go over some of the colder weather that could be on the way. First things first, let's talk about the weather map and take a look at the big picture. Over the next couple of days, we've got a couple of key systems to watch. One of them is a little clipper system that's making its way down from Canada, moving through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. If you're in those areas, you can expect snow showers over the next few days, especially as we head into Monday and Tuesday of next week. These types of clipper systems can be tricky because they tend to move quickly, but they bring in cold air and snow, so expect some quick bursts of winter weather. This system is going to track across the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic, and up into the Northeast. So folks in those regions should prepare for some snowy days. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Because that's not the only system we've got to keep an eye on. There's another area of disturbed weather forming down in California. This is an upper level low, and as it gets organized, it's going to bring some much needed rainfall to Southern California. It's also going to track across the desert Southwest, providing some moisture to the dry areas there. But what makes this system interesting is that it's going to be a slow mover. And when you have a system like this, it can sometimes overperform because it hangs around. So while you might think it's just going to bring rain, once that cold air wraps around and the system lingers, it could actually start transitioning that rain into snow, especially in the higher elevations. We're talking about places like Flagstaff and Santa Fe, which could see some decent snow accumulations by the time this system wraps up. As we get into the middle of the week, particularly by Wednesday and Thursday, things are going to get even more interesting. The clipper system that's moving through the Great Lakes and Northeast will intensify, and by then we'll be looking at heavier snow across those regions. If you're in the Northeast, expect to see some decent snowfall by the end of the week, and that's when I think we'll start to see more widespread snowfalls from the Great Lakes all the way through New England. At the same time, we'll be seeing some energy from this system move southward, creating a wide area of rain and thunderstorms for places like Texas. It's a little crazy to think about rain and Texas snow in the Northeast, but that's what's coming. As that system moves into New Mexico and West Texas, some of that raining is going to change to snow, and we could start seeing the beginning of what could be the first major winter storm of the season. This system will then lift northeastward, bringing snow into parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, and even parts of Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Here's why. But the storm train doesn't stop there. After the first system pushes through, we're going to see a second storm developing right behind it. This second system is going to be another one to watch closely, and it's going to follow a similar path. Once it develops in the desert Southwest, it will move into West Texas, the Texas Panhandle, Colorado, and New Mexico before tracking into Kansas, Iowa, and eventually Wisconsin. We could see another round of heavy snow, especially in those areas that didn't get hit hard by the first storm. And just when you think it's over, there's a chance we could even have a third system lining up behind that one. With each of these systems, the storm energy is going to get a little bit stronger, and they'll continue to move eastward, bringing more cold air with them. And because the first storm will lay down a snowpack, the second system will have to move over that, keeping things colder than they otherwise would have been. This means even areas that usually don't see much snow could be in for a real winter treat. We could see snow moving as far south as Texas, and maybe even into Mexico, which is a pretty rare event. As for the temperatures, we've been in a pretty cold stretch lately, especially with that polar vortex that pushed that Gulf Coast blizzard all the way down to the deep south. That storm didn't just affect us here. It also triggered some crazy weather in Ireland, including 50-foot waves and a massive power outage that affected over 750,000 people. That storm was actually a leftover from our Gulf Coast system. Pretty wild how all these weather systems are connected, right? But as we move into the weekend, temperatures are expected to start warming up a bit. That polar air will begin to modify, and by midweek next week, around Wednesday, we'll start seeing the cold air retreating back up into Alaska and Greenland. This should provide a brief reprieve from the cold, but don't get too comfortable because that's not going to last long. By Thursday and Friday, another cold air intrusion is expected to push south as the first Clipper system brings in even colder temperatures to the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. And as the cutoff low in the Southwest strengthens, it's going to drag even more cold air southward. This will bring heavy snow to places like West Texas, New Mexico, and the Texas Panhandle. And as it moves northeast, it will bring snow to Oklahoma, Kansas, and other parts of the Central Plains. This is a situation where those of you who haven't seen much snow yet this season are going to get your turn. These systems are going to pile on the snow, so expect to see winter weather in full force across many parts of the country. Now, the bigger picture here is that February is shaping up to be a very active and cold month. The first few days of February are looking particularly stormy, with multiple systems lined up and ready to move across the country. We're going to see cold air coming down from Alaska and the Arctic. And with each storm moving over the fresh snowpack from the previous systems, temperatures are going to stay colder for longer. This is one of the setups where the storms feed off of each other, and the longer they sit over areas, the more snow they can produce. So don't be surprised if we see snow piling up in places that typically don't see much winter weather. As for precipitation, we're expecting a lot of low pressure systems to form, mainly over the western Gulf or Texas. These systems will move northward, some even curving eastward toward the mid-Atlantic. This will create a zone of showers and thunderstorms across the southeast. There's still a lot of uncertainty about snowfall in the north central and northeast U.S., so we'll be watching that closely. The northwest will also see an increase in precipitation. The 8 to 14 day outlook looks a little more dramatic. I still wouldn't say it's purely warm in the east and cold in the west, but the pattern will start to lean that way. We'll see cold temperatures across the northwest and into the plains, and a lot of warmth pushing up the east. This will likely bring more storms as warm fronts push up, but cold fronts underneath will mix in, so we'll see some interesting dynamics with both warm and cold air moving around. Moving into the precipitation pattern, storms will be rising up across the southeast and the central U.S. as well as the northwest, which will be our main storm tracks. Not much is expected in the southwest in terms of precipitation during this time. Now, looking at the past 20 days, the central and eastern U.S. has been experiencing some brutal cold, temperatures 10 to 15 degrees below normal in many areas. It's a huge departure from the typical pattern, so that's something to keep in mind. Next, let's look at some model guidance, starting with the European model. Later this evening, we're going to see snow showers across the northern Rockies, stretching all the way from Colorado and Utah up through the northern plains and upper Midwest. Tomorrow afternoon, snow showers will extend into the Sierra Nevada and Central Rockies, with more snow in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. By Sunday afternoon, we'll start to see thunderstorms develop across the southeast and south central U.S., particularly in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. There's also a storm system in Southern California, which should help with fire risks in the region. Monday the 27th, will be the first day we start to see a major shift. Warm air will push eastward across the central U.S. while cold air backs off. We'll still have cold conditions in the northern regions, but the warmth will start to intrude. By Tuesday, the warming trend will continue, and we'll see a lot of warmth across the Midwest and East, though some cooler temperatures will remain further north. As we move into Wednesday, January 29th, a low pressure system near the Adirondack Mountains will bring snow to parts of the Northeast, especially New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Thunderstorms will be widespread across the Southeast, from Texas all the way up through Georgia and the Carolinas. By Thursday, February 1st, we'll see a cold front move through, bringing colder conditions to the east. But at the same time, another storm will start to develop in Texas, bringing snow to New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle, with showers and thunderstorms across the rest of Texas. Looking towards the weekend, temperatures will continue to fluctuate as these low pressure systems develop and push through, bringing a mix of cold and warm air. By February 2nd, we could see another round of thunderstorms across the southeast and more snow in the Rockies and plains. The trend continues into the first week of February with a big low pressure system over the Great Lakes, bringing heavy snowfall to the upper Midwest and Great Lakes regions. This could be a pretty significant snow event for the north central U.S. By the time we reach the second week of February, the models are showing more cold in the west and warmer conditions in the east. This could bring another round of cold temperatures to the east, but it's still too far out to say for sure. We'll see more snow in the mountains and continued storminess in the west, with the possibility of more thunderstorms in the southeast as well. We continue to monitor these models. One thing is clear. We're in for a lot of action over the next couple of weeks. The weather's going to be all over the place with more snow in the west, plenty of thunderstorms in the southeast, and fluctuating temperatures that could bring cold spells to the east and warmth to the west. It's definitely going to be an interesting ride, so make sure to stay tuned as we track these patterns. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload new content. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts or any questions you have, and I'll see you in the next video.